back, good people, to our latest, newest episode of the Less of a Man podcast. We all back still at full strength, so that's great. So we're going to start off with our mental health check-in for the week. We're going to always start with EJ. How was your mental health this week? You're giving away free Starbucks on Facebook, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I asked y'all to do something that y'all,
I actually asked you when to come. You never gave me an answer.
So
I didn't know I had to come to your store.
I told you exactly how it had to work. I literally put it in. Anyway, I'm not gonna go.
Yeah, it was in a text message. I actually read that.
Yeah, I think when I was you weren't at the store when I was trying to do it. So
have to be at the store. I already.
You told us that you were like
done it in advance.
You told us that you would like us to come when you're at the store. Is what you said.
No. Okay, I'm not. My mental health check-in, because clearly Shamorg doesn't listen because he has a brick wall that's plastered on the side of his ears. But that's another story. My mental health check-in, it's good. This week was a little challenging. I'm helping training in a class at my main job. These people are just interesting, and the trainer that I'm helping I've never been in a training class that the trainer doesn't use a module the whole entire time. We're in like week 8 and they have never seen a training module. So it's been an interesting experience. So other than that, I've just been going to the gym. I'm kind of sore from hitting up the gym, trying to get together for later on this year so I can go, to the islands and find me a man, all that jazz.
With a yacht. All right, Raw, what about you?
It's been a long week, just working, a little tired. But so we're in the beginning of the year. I got 10 months left, so I'm in the swing of wedding shit.
Yeah, so getting the text messages, the group text messages for the website.
Yeah.
I was like, who are all these people you got me in the group with?
What? Wait. First of all, don't anybody read text messages? Why everybody's like, oh, why am I in this group? I said, mofos, send me pictures for the website.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously.
No, I read it. That's why I sent you a picture. I wasn't arguing on it. I just sent it to you. What about you, Shar?
Bro, hold on. Before I start that, just so you know, I appreciate y'all. Y'all were more ready to accept the challenge and send me pictures than the bridesmaids. I finally got the last. I said that like on Monday, right? What did I send it like? Monday or something like that? It was early in the week.
Like that. Mm-hmm.
I finally got the last picture of one of the bridesmaids yesterday. This is after I threatened to move forward without them.
Welcome to wedding planning, man.
But my thing is, I have dudes in my stuff. So why would how females not that organized? Like literally, send me a picture. It doesn't have to be a full body picture. It's literally just a headshot. Just a fucking headshot.
Oh,
how difficult is that? Questions. They were asking questions the whole time.
Rod,
yes.
Are you getting karma? Remember all the times we ask you to do shit and you don't do it to fucking last minute?
We're not talking about me right now.
Oh,
we're not talking about me. We're not talking about me.
See how frustrating it is?
I'm trying to finish a website so I can send out these invitations and get things started. I'm actually doing something, so if I'm doing something, come on.
So we can expect that you will be timely now since you had to deal with people.
We're not talking about me right now.
Oh my God. Are we really?
We're having a conversation about me putting together my wedding website. I did it by myself.
Oh, nice.
That's nice. And creating invitations and all that stuff. Okay? All right? So if I'm asking you to do something.
Website, so I'm proud of you. You did the website by yourself. I didn't touch mine, so.
I don't think you were allowed to touch your website.
I didn't want to touch it, so it was a mutual agreement there. Well,
just
it only begins from here, man.
I know.
All right, Char, what about you?
It was okay. Are we gonna ignore the obvious? It was an awesome week overall.
Because it was your birthday? Is that
No,
why?
not even my birthday. It's like just the inauguration.
Oh, the inauguration. Okay, gotcha.
I mean, you just forget. Like this was an awesome week. So watching that over the past few days, and of course, my birthday was yesterday. Work was also cool. So had a cool, a smooth week at work.
Why did you take a picture with a whole bunch of white people?
Huh?
He hired all the black people.
Yeah,
Oh,
why
that's
did
from my old job. That was my old job when I used to like travel and do art.
you never went any black places? Like any
Black people don't own businesses.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Ouch.
Oh, what?
Wow, really?
Like I mean, the one like the ones I was going to. I mean, I'm not saying that to be insulting. That's just actually sad, but no.
So why didn't you say that? Preface it that
Wait,
black people don't own business.
Businesses.
Like,
Yeah, that's the ones I go to. I mean that's real.
Said that, but you were just saying like making it seem like we don't own business at all.
We're not on that.
We about to get
Not on
boycotted
that.
before we make
We're
it
not on
before we
that
get
tier.
syndicated.
We're not on that tier of business. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, so
No,
Shar has since Trump's gone, Char's reverted back to being a Republican.
No,
So-
that's but that kind of goes into the conversation we're gonna talk about today because that's real.
But go ahead, go into your
tier. Not that we don't own businesses on that tier. You don't know people that are on that.
No, we don't. I can confidently say that.
You bet every business,
from a general perspective, from that level, we're not there.
In your field of work.
In that field of work, yeah. I'm comfortable saying that.
Preference that.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, finish yours.
Yeah. My birthday was yesterday, so I turned 39. So that means the next one is 40. So we're.
Thank you for teaching us basic math.
Huh? So it's a little bit interesting year. Hopefully, it's a transformational year on different levels. So I'm gonna try to see what I can do to make myself the best me I can be until the same time next year. So we'll see. my 30 to be gone in a year.
So what we doing for your 40th?
We were talking about that yesterday. So we're trying to figure out if I want a party or do I want a destination birthday. So
going on the yacht, man.
So I'm trying to figure out.
Mess up with a yacht.
So
we're
gonna figure it out.
So for my mental health, I mean it's the same old. Work was straight. I'm still learning because since my wife works nights, I have my son at nights by myself. So learning that is insane. We watching back the shows that we used to watch as a kid. So we were watching Blue's Clues the other morning, and I was like, and it's funny how you see these things a little differently now that you're an adult. So when you were a kid watching these, and they have a new guy on it. He looks Asian, and so it's a new guy on there. And I just said I'm watching this whole thing, and I said to myself, man, he must be pulling single moms. Like he must be knocking them out the park.
Or not, actually.
He has to.
Huh? No, they probably find him weird.
I just don't. I just feel like if I was in that position, I would use that to my advantage.
Okay.
A kid show.
That's weird. Okay, but
in the street. You think the Wiggles were pulling women?
Well, weren't the Wiggles
the 5 dudes that were just singing different colors?
They were weird. They were too weird. They were too weird.
All right, so talking about kid shows, you watch Coco Melon?
Oh, Coco Melon off the chain. I be all up in the Coco Melon.
Yeah,
how?
Huh?
It's just the singing all the time.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate
it.
It's like the Baby Muffet show we're watching.
Oh, Muffet Babies was fun.
They have, I mean, everything is new. Even that we was watching, they had a commercial with Fruit Loops, and they changed Toucan's sound. Like they changed his appearance, and I was just like, dang, everything is so.
Yeah, I was upset.
It's so different now, because even like Blue's Clues, the dog is like more 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just everything's a little different, and even some of the characters have changed. It looks like, and it's just like. It's just so different, but I just felt like that guy should be knocking out single moms.
I think the Barney dude was doing it,
and he should have.
Because I think he also like a sex.
This is like really, really like odd.
I mean, that's
why were we talking about kids, characters, and sex?
I'm just saying he could use that to his advantage. That's what I'm thinking when I'm watching this show. He could use that to his advantage. He has to be knocking them out.
I know Barney was doing it. That's all I gotta say. Because
more power
This
to
is
him.
disturbing.
You got to use your advantages when you got them. Speaking of, did any of you sexist motherfuckers listen to the Ashanti and Keisha Cole battle?
I did.
I heard about it.
I did.
Well, we know Char doesn't support black people, but Raw, you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it.
EJ, did you watch it?
After they were an hour and 40 minutes late.
Yeah, that's why I didn't watch it, because it was
Keisha
so
was
late.
an hour and 40 minutes.
I got tired of waiting, so okay, I'm out.
And then they took a break in the middle, like
in the middle, yeah. And Keisha kind of sounded like she had an attitude a little bit, but I was just like, Keisha, I got an infant, man. I can't be staying up waiting. I got work in the morning. I can't be staying up waiting for you.
Yep.
But what did you think about the actual battle?
I mean, it was okay. It wasn't like nothing too exciting for me. It was mainly women's songs.
No, I actually agree. I thought it was okay.
It was okay. It's too average.
Yeah,
individuals going at each other.
I don't think they're average. I think the genres are. I don't think in these battles slow songs should be there, because I think they changed the whole mood of this battle.
The Anita Baker and Tyler Bell one was off the chain because they got some deep hits.
But the females loved it, man. Some females loved it.
That's not what I saw. I saw females hating it. I saw one female said this was the worst one, and I was like, I don't know if it's the worst one. I thought Ludacris and Nelly, because I didn't feel like Nelly took it that seriously. I thought maybe that was the worst one. But
I didn't see that. I didn't see that one, so I don't know.
Yeah, Nelly lost because he was. I don't know what Nelly was trying to do. He was just wasn't playing none of his hits. He was just a hot mess.
Yeah. So, but I thought when Ashanti played certain records like "Ain't It Funny" and stuff like that, like I thought Ashanti. I thought some of it was really good. It was just okay to me for the most part.
I felt like Ashanti came more prepared than Keisha did.
Absolutely. Go ahead, EJ.
People were complaining about Ashanti playing songs she was featured on, and not songs that were actually hers. Like, ain't that
2 Chainz did it? 2 Chainz did it in his battle.
She wrote "Ain't It Funny."
Yeah, she wrote "Ain't It Funny." That's why she played it. But
the background vocals and "Ain't That Funny."
Yeah.
Like, they didn't change the background vocals. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not.
But like, she played Pac's Life, and she only does the hook on Pac's Life. But they never come out with the rules for this. You know what I'm saying? With Fabulous and Jadakiss, Fabulous played "Keeping It Gangsta" remix, and Jadakiss is on it. So there's no real rules to this kind of thing. So I don't know. I thought it was okay. And speaking of the inauguration, you brought up the inauguration. That did happen this week. How did y'all feel watching the inauguration?
I didn't watch it. I was at work.
Wow.
Okay. I mean, I felt some type of normalcy back. Is kind of how I felt. I just felt okay. I mean,
to me, if you felt normalcy, that's a problem.
Well, normalcy in the sense of we're getting press conferences. We're actually getting information about what's going on in our
right.
thing. So that's what I mean.
Yeah. We're complaining about his policies other than who he is as an actual person.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, yes. But I think that we can't go back to normalcy. We have to go up another level. What about you, EJ?
Yeah, no, I got to watch parts of it. I was my class was on the phone, so I didn't get to really watch it. But I watched parts of it, and I think that it was great. It was really historic. It was a lot of like firsts that happened. I just really wanted to see Kamala Harris take the oath. That's all I wanted to see, because that was the most historic part for me. And I think of all that's happened, I think that's been the driving factor for a lot of people that voted, a lot of people that are excited and energized about the new administration. It's because they're now seeing something they haven't seen before. It's the first time that we can ever say that there was a Black woman at that level in our government. So it's super exciting. It was super exciting for me.
Yeah, I thought J-Lo did very well. I'm sorry, man. Me and Shar argued about this. I don't want to see Garth Brooks singing Amazing Grace. I just don't. I think it should be.
I don't understand why J-Lo was there. Like, her management is like.
Her management is off the chain.
Yeah.
She was the Super Bowl and then booked for the inauguration.
And New Year's. I believe she did New Year's.
The year spent. I just don't understand why she was there. Like, there were so many other artists that could have been there.
I wasn't even mad at her. People
She
were
did good. I mean, she did decent.
To me, she did the best. She had the best performance.
She's a great performer. Every time she puts on a performance, she's awesome. Like, there's no denying that.
I'm just saying why she's there.
Like, what new music have you put out that people are listening to, like, that make you relevant enough to be at the inauguration?
I said, and again, Shar disagrees with me. Future should have did Amazing Grace.
Future?
Yes.
No.
Black this thing out.
No.
No.
I'd rather see Future than Garth Brooks.
I didn't like Garth Brooks being there. At least, I mean, he actually taking a chance being there, considering who his audience is. I think it was interesting that he showed up. So
should have been Future. Speaking of things that we want to change but hasn't changed, and I'm going to equate it to this. So I ain't going to say we're all football fans. Some are stronger than others.
You'd have to say that at all.
Huh?
You'd have to say that at all.
Well, Char's not a big football fan.
You ever got a team?
Char has a team.
Yeah, I didn't get insulted by that, but keep on.
He admits it. Char's a Saints fan. Raw's a Jets fan. I'm a Falcons, and EJ's a Titans fan. And one thing that I want to discuss about is both me and Raw's team suck. I don't think we argue about that. So because of our team suck, they had coaching vacancies. And in fact, the NFL had 7 coaching vacancies. And in a league that's 70% black, so far, 6 of the vacancies have been filled. Only one minority candidate, that's your New York Jets.
Yep.
He's Muslim. Robert Saleh.
Yep, Robert Saleh.
Yep, he's a Muslim. The rest of them are white. The biggest problem here is not only did a black person not get hired for a job, there is a big candidate that everybody said should have. Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. Since he started to be offensive coordinator in 2018, the Kansas City offense was 3rd best in this millennium. So since the year 2000, they are the 3rd best offensive team. Of course, Patrick Mahomes has a lot to do with that, but Eric Bieniemy took over as 2018 as well. He has had several interviews and has not gotten the job.
Mm-hmm.
And this is interesting because I think this is a lot of what us black people kind of go through. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to name all the people who, not all the people, I want to name the coaches who have a job and their age, which I find is interesting. So I think it's Nick Sirianni is the new head coach for the Eagles. He's 39 years old.
Where did he come from? Like, but nobody was talking about him interviewing anywhere. And then all of a sudden, I saw on my app that he got hired by the Eagles, and I'm like, wait,
he was a Colts offensive coordinator. But yeah, he came out of nowhere. He was never a big name. Dan Campbell is the head coach for the Lions. He's 44. Brandon Staley is the head coach of the Chargers. He's 38. Robert Saleh, we just said that. He's 41 years old. Mm-hmm. Urban Meyer, he is the oddball of this. He's 56. But you got to understand that he had 3 major college head coaching jobs before this. So he's not new. The other people are new here. He's not. Arthur Smith is Atlanta Falcons head coach. He is 38. What I find interesting is these people got their startup at fairly young ages. Eric Bieniemy, who they said was the hot candidate, this was supposed to be his first ever head coaching job. He is 51. Mm-hmm. 51. And I'm talking about this because this is a microcosm of what's going on as a black community when it comes to these jobs. We have seen, and you guys can tell me about your experience, and I have a bunch of questions to ask you guys, but we have seen that when we enter the job force, when we finally get there to corporate America, we're probably a lot older than our white counterparts. We probably have way more degrees, way more experience than our white counterparts as kind of what you see going in. I had a boss who did 1 semester in community college, and I have a master's degree. So these are the things I kind of want to talk about is us looking for a job and the job market for us being black, and also what we go through when we finally even get into the jobs. So I want to say black people still face higher unemployment, fewer jobs, lower pay, poor benefits, and greater job instability, even with all these changes we have made. So my first question for you guys was, how was your view of looking for a job when you were in college? So we all have degrees. So as we're getting that degree and we're thinking about our next step after we graduate, what was y'all views looking for a job before you even graduated? Who wants to go first?
I mean, I'll go first. I mean, I've been working since I've been 14. So for me, I never had a thought of not being hired somewhere because I've just always been working like a large percentage of my life. So for me, I really thought it was going to be the process that I'll get my degree, and then I go straight into working in the field that I was working in. So that was really my thought process from the very beginning. Like, I'm going to go to school for this, do this, and then once I finish this, I'm going to move into this. And that was my mentality.
So you didn't think look for that job, I was going to find you?
No, I just thought that I was going to go look. I knew that I would have to look for a job, like, because I just always been looking for jobs. So like, I didn't think it's going to be a situation where the door was going to be knocking down, like people going to be knocking down the door to come get me. I just knew that once this is the process. You go look for a job, and that's just always my mentality. Not even from college, but just from just working when since I've been 14. So.
Right.
Mine's a little different because who's got hello?
Hello, go ahead.
Okay, so I think mine was a little different because I've mainly had civil service jobs since I graduated, so it was a little different. All mine was just like take tests, and if you score high, you get the job. So that's where I've been. So
you didn't really have to look?
No, I didn't really look. My mom made me take civil service tests. So when I took the DMV, I had to test with DMV, so I worked at DMV for a little bit. Then when I left there, I went to New York City Transit, was there for a while, and then I came down here.
Okay. So, well, what about you, bro? Hold on, EJ, we got a problem with your audio.
Now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right. Yeah. For me, I mean, I don't even think that I was even focused on that at that time. I was kind of like all over the place, and it was a different experience for me. I don't feel like I kind of like had that guidance. So my viewpoints on like what I was doing after college wasn't really that structured. So it wasn't until later on in life that I had to start thinking about, okay, what exactly is it that I'm going to be doing now? And what path I wanted to go. So well into almost my 30s wasn't until I started really thinking about, okay, the career paths. And I already had, I had not completed my college degree in my 30s, in my early 30s. So, yeah, it was a very different experience. It's now kind of like now that I'm kind of like figuring that out.
Yeah, and I think, and that's why I asked this question, because I think most people have me and your experience, EJ. And what I'm saying is, it was no guidance. When I went to college, it was just basically my mom told me, you're going to college. She didn't ask what I wanted to do in college and ask, help me navigate college. It was just, you're going to college. So I literally thought in college, all I had to do was get good grades and a job would be knocking down my door. So it's different from you, Shar. That's how I thought the world worked, because nobody guided me. Nobody told me about internships or networking, none of that. I literally thought, oh man, they like pick you out they see your grades, pick you out and say a job will call you for this. And then when you actually in your senior year and you graduate, you're seeing that, man, this shit is a lot different than that. And I actually, because I was bartending while I was in college. And then when I graduated, I was still bartending. I was probably one of the most depressed I ever been, because when and that's going to lead me into my next question. When you're doing these jobs like serving tables or bartending and you're in school, some people ask you, what are you doing here? And at least you could say, I'm in school. I'm in school to do such and such. Now, when you ain't got that anymore to say, you're really looking at yourself like, what the fuck am I doing? So my next question for y'all is, and I feel like me and EJ's answer is going to be a lot different from y'all's too, but did you guys struggle finding that job out of college? So Shar, I'll let you go first.
So when I was in college, I was actually working as a pharmacy tech at CVS because my initial major was actually was pharmacy, and I worked as a pharmacy tech for 5 years while I was in college. So I graduated December 2004. Um, I had did an internship the summer before with this company in South Carolina, and I was working as a pharmacy tech and doing another internship um, while I was working at this company in Athens, Georgia. So it took me about 6 months to actually get my first job as an engineer. So overall, it wasn't a smooth process, but it just took it wasn't straight after I graduated. It was probably I graduated in December, and then got my first job in I believe it was June.
But that's still good. 6 months is good.
Uh-huh.
6 months is pretty good, man.
Yeah, but I think it also has a lot to do with what I majored in. So I was it's still in the field where the demand for engineers are high. So I think for me it was just not more so because I think it really was related to what my major was, where I was able to kind of get placed in a position fairly quickly.
All right, what about you?
It still took me a little while, but
What's a little
it,
while?
it, I think something about like a year and a half,
Okay.
something like that. But I mean, in between that, I was like doing like temp jobs and looking for other stuff because actually my major's in business management, so I just didn't want the monotony of being in the office, so I ended up just doing other stuff.
The monotony being in office.
Yeah, I hated it.
It does suck. EJ, what about you?
I was in a completely different industry before I decided to go back to college. I was working in like the cheerleading industry, the competitive cheerleading industry. So I was working like as choreography, like as a choreographer, a coach. So it was very different, and it was nowhere near close to what I had started my degree in. My initial degree was actually pre med, and then I went into nursing. So um, it, it wasn't a straight shot, and it's taken a long time to kind of figure that out. And I'm still kind of trying to figure that out now. What I really should have done, though, I'll talk about that, is that I was always into like design, so I should have done that. Period, and not let my parents or other people discourage me from that. So um, I'm always trying to find a way to kind of tap into that and figure it out while also trying to, stay above the poverty line.
And again, you're gonna make a great point that I think I can relate to is that because our parents don't know, so they're just telling us to do stuff, and then they tell us, "Don't do this because this doesn't make money, or you won't find a job in this." When I was in undergrad, my minor is in African American history, and people were like downing me for that. Why you want to go into history? What you gonna do with that? What you gonna be just a teacher? And because people haven't they don't blossom water what you want to do, your growth. They're not asking, they just telling you go to college. They're not asking you exactly what you want to do. College might not even be for you, depending on what you want to do. And then you done wasted all this money in student loan debt for this. But I think it's very important, like you said, to ask kind of what we want to do. Like if I could do it all again, I'd probably be an engineer too, because what I've learned is I like building stuff. I like solving problems and trying to fix it. But I felt like if somebody would have actually took me under their wing and guided me, then I probably would have went that direction as well. So I went.
I think also that's a plus and minus to that too, um because I didn't start off with I didn't start off as an engineer. I didn't start off with an engineering major either. It was something that I kind of discovered along the way. So like it's kind of like it has to be a combination of both. I think when you have children and they show an interest in something, that you kind of like encourage that interest in terms of like what they want to do, but at the same time give them a little flexibility to be able to kind of find their way.
right.
Also, I just think with black people, it's getting better generations later, but in our generation, in a sense, we really didn't have that much flexibility to actually try to wonder and dream and try to figure it out. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, we couldn't
Also,
risk taking chances because
yeah,
our family was poor. We couldn't
yeah,
risk.
exactly. So we had to, in my mind, the way I was thinking, it had to be a role that I felt would elevate me to be able to provide or actually put me in a better financial status. It's how I was thinking. Now, if I have kids, and because I'm in a better position, I will hope I will give them that what you just described, Daryl, that ability to be able to explore and figure out what they want to do, and give them some type of guidance in terms of how all this actually works.
Yeah, so, and the problem is, and what they're saying is that because of the no guidance, just like him, I jumped. Like I was at one point, I was gonna join the army. I filled out the test and I passed all the tests to become a teacher. I went to grad school for business. I didn't want to do at the time anything with business. I went to grad school just because I'm like, fuck it, I guess I'll try this. And then I put myself more in debt doing that instead of like really somebody helping me guide to that point. And now I work in computers. I work in computer software. So I'm doing something completely different than what I went to school for. And then it took me so long to even get to that point because my first foot in the door for corporate America, if it wasn't for like other Black people, I probably have even a harder time getting into corporate America. So like now that we guys have the job, we have the interview schedule. Kind of what is you guys' mentality like going into the interview? Because this is what I've seen different from our white counterparts. They come in the job, they literally, I've seen them come into interviews and it looked like they just got out of bed. They just got out of bed, put some shoes on, and came to the interview. And I find that so interesting because if you look at how we're dressed, how our appearance is to these job interviews, it's so different to how I've seen some white people are. Let me know first, have y'all seen that as well? And tell me about y'all preparations for like job interviews.
So I guess when I was interviewing, because I didn't interview much, but you're right. A lot of them just showed up and you look at them like, what are you wearing? Like
you actually came to the interview like this. Like,
yeah, like you're here disheveled, it's not combed, you're not
right.
Like, what are you doing? Suit a little too big. So you've always told, you gotta look the part if you want the part. So you gotta dress well, go in there and speak well, and you have to have an immaculate resume.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then even if you perfect, you being told you too perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I've literally seen it with my own eyes. I always come with 3-piece suits on, like you said, making sure it's tailored, everything to a T. And I'm just shocked at what they're wearing. Char, you're shaking your head, yes.
Yeah, because even for I think I told you guys, like for us, we like it's an event. It's like we're about to go to a boxing match. We got to be in top form. Make sure the suit is pressed, the pants are creased.
You went to sleep early the night before.
They go to sleep early. You doing your research on the company. You get the list of people that's gonna be interviewing you. You looking up to see get information about them. So it's a prepared. We about to go to a war event, and then you show up and this dude got like some corduroy pants and some like faded shirt. And I'm like, okay, dude, like, and then got one of his tattoos showing. I'm like, okay, what is going on here? So it's weird. Because even for my last interview, I remember we were talking. I was actually contemplating whether or not to shave my beard or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, should I go ahead and shave my beard? And then I show up, dude, like sleeves completely rolled up and got like tattoo sleeves going like all across his body. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess if he's not concerned about his tattoos being exposed, then I guess I shouldn't care about have my beard being shaved. So it's just the stuff that we feel like we need to do in order to be noticed or actually be able to get the role is just completely different than our counterparts. It's just way different.
Yeah, like where does it come from? Because my mom used to work HR. That's where it come from for me. She's like, we have to do this. Mm-hmm. Like if we don't even if we came dressed like this, it's a no for us off top. It don't matter what the resume looks like. It don't matter how we carry ourselves, the experience, the knowledge. It's a no off top. So we come in there with a mindset, like you said, going to war. This is survival for us. This is why I feel like white athletes will never be better than Black athletes, because Black athletes do this for survival. Like this is feeling like this is a way for them to get out. This is not This is not like a me just playing in the neighborhood. This is how I'm trying to get out. So for us going to these interviews, this is like fucking survival. Like we're waking up early. We're just doing the preparation that we do, the probably testing. Like I used to look up question interviews and figure out how I'm gonna respond to those. The making sure we look at people in the eye, firm handshake, all this stuff.
Calling friends to find out what kind of questions you think they're gonna ask you to go over.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the preparation we do, and I just can't imagine our white counterparts doing that.
Oh, good.
You're absolutely right. I think everyone pretty much hit the nail on the head about how our preparation is and how we feel that we have to like overly be prepared or be like at some level that other, our counterparts can be mediocre, but we have to be exceptional to even get a glance. So yeah, when I think my hardest interview ever was to be a Delta flight attendant, and I literally thought I was underprepared because I didn't look like everyone else when I went up to the interview. I was dressed the way that, of course, that I should have been, but everyone else, I could have sworn everyone there was already a flight attendant, and here I am, just showing up. And of the 390 something people that were there, they took 19, and I just happened to be one of them. But I will say that it's a very different experience for us. And I'll say the same thing. We dress to a T, and then other people show up in like khakis and a polo, and you're like, okay, all right. And sometimes it makes me wonder, like, what questions they ask them. Are they the same? Are they different? Like, what's the conversation like? Because sometimes it just feels like we can be almost near perfect. And you look at the other person, you're like, especially if it's a job that you work and you see the people and you see their work ethic and you are applying for the same job. So you kind of know the kind of person they are. And then like they're hired over you and you're overqualified. So it's like, it's really frustrating for me. And it actually is kind of like nerve wracking. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but like every time I have to interview, it's like it gives me the worst anxiety because there's so many things you have to think about. And it's not like you just go in there and like you have to think about literally everything. And then you're hoping that maybe the people, if it's a panel interview, you're hoping maybe one person's black. Like just one person be black.
No, and you're right, man. Because when I was laid off, at that point, I went to a bunch of job interviews at that point, and you come back home so defeated too, because you did all this preparation, you did all this, and you're so defeated. Shar, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I started off that way, where I went into the interview almost expecting pity because I felt like if my story was sad enough that y'all actually would hire me. And I don't know that. So that's kind of how I went to like, I'm this young boy from a small town of Phoenix, Louisiana. And then something switched. It switched quickly where the more and more I worked, the more and more I realized if just as competitive, if not better, people I was going against. So it was a moment where it switched where after that moment, I was never nervous going into interviews because I was like, look here, I know what my worth is. I still got to do all the preparation stuff in terms of making sure that I don't give you a reason to hire me. But once I step in that room and interview, it's a different person. I'm not unapologetic. I'm not apologetic. I know I'm here. I know what I'm worth. And I know you need me. So let's have a conversation about. So it switched just like that. After that moment of not worrying about that stuff, it just switched to like, look here, I know what I'm about. If you don't hire me, because I know why you're not hiring me, so let's just have this conversation. Let's do this. You got to reach that point.
Yeah, and I think I equate it to what's going on in the NFL because I don't know if these owners are racist. I'm not gonna go ahead and put that on them, but what I do believe is they look after their own.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of see with these job interviews. That's why I feel like it takes us. Eric Bieniemy, he's 51, but a lot of people on this list is late 30s, early 40s, and it's like white people seem to get in the door. They have such an advantage over everything.
But here's the thing: the reality is that, and this is not just for white people. You're going to hire your own. You're going to hire the people that makes you comfortable. And unfortunately, a lot of us are not in the position of power to make the change that's needed. So I don't know. Sometimes it may be racism, or this may, well, it is racism in a sense, but it is not racism in terms of intentional. It's more racism. I'm hiring what makes me feel comfortable.
Right.
But the question is why someone like me doesn't make you comfortable? And that's the question that, you know what I'm saying, that people have to start asking themselves in terms of why am I not thinking about diversity more so to try to make sure what makes me comfortable? And being on the other side of it in terms of management, I see why there's a lack of diversity sometimes in certain areas of businesses. I understand why, because it's tailored and designed for us to fail.
Interesting. Raw, you were saying?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the biggest reasons why I'm a Jets fan is because in 2001, when I moved to New York, the Jets hired Herm Edwards to be their coach, and it's like he was like one of the only black coaches in the NFL at that time. And in that space, we haven't been good, but we've at least been diverse. We've had, since I've been a Jets fan, we've had 2 black coaches, and now we have the first Muslim head coach.
Yep.
So it's like, look, the team ain't been good, but at least we've been good at hiring minorities.
Giving them a shot. Because let me just cut in. This is why I'm rooting for the Miami Dolphins, because they have a black GM and a black head coach. The Falcons have never had a black head coach. Never.
Right. Now you have a black GM.
We have a black GM, yes, but we never had a black head coach.
So, and then circling back to football is more of, so they're going to focus on saying that if he doesn't get the Texans job, which everybody thinks he's going to get just appease Deshaun Watson.
Too much pressure on the Texans.
Right. They're going to say it's because his team did so well.
Well, so they moved the goalposts and also say he didn't call plays, is what they're saying.
Yeah, they're also saying that, but everybody knows, like, you coming from the Andy Reid tree, you really didn't really call plays per se, but you had a large input on creating those plays and developing somebody. So you developed somebody that everybody wasn't high on in the draft. Because everybody forget, Patrick Mahomes was not high in the draft.
No.
A lot of people did not look at him as being a good quarterback.
No.
They talk about his accuracy. They talk about he's too mobile. He's coming from this type of school and the spread offense and all that stuff. But now he's lighting it up. And he attributes a lot of that to Eric Bieniemy and the coaching staff. So they're going to look at it as his team did too well. So the time limit to hire a coach was like really short, so they couldn't wait. So I forgot, there was a podcast I was listening to. I don't know if it was like Bart and Hahn or Michael K. Show, but they were saying, why not just wait till after the Super Bowl and start interviewing candidates anyway? So that way, if your team is still in the playoffs and you have a minority coach that's highly sought of, everybody's on an even playing field. Now you're starting later, and you're giving time for everybody to interview properly.
Right. And you know, this is why they moved the goalposts. And you brought up 2 great points, and I just want to do counterpoints to those. First of all, they talked about the Andy Reid tree, and he doesn't call plays. Yet Doug Peterson was part of the Andy Reid tree and doesn't call plays. Yet he got the Eagles job and won them a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The second thing is, you said to wait after the Super Bowl, what might be smart, but the problem is they're going to want the person they had. Dan Quinn was the defensive coordinator to the Seattle Seahawks when they went to the Super Bowl, when they lost to the Patriots. He was the defensive coordinator, and they still waited till after the Super Bowl to call that. So every time we say something, they keep just moving that goalpost, just moving the goalpost. And that's why I equate it to what we're going through just in our lives, just as Black people, us trying to get a job is almost the exact same thing.
And that's the thing, as I'm saying, like, so they're going to say his team is doing too well because they have a chance of making to the Super Bowl, because if Patrick Mahomes played, they're going to beat Buffalo.
Which he is playing.
Right. And well, let me rephrase it. If he's properly healed from his concussion, they're going to beat Buffalo.
I agree.
And then they're also going to say then, well, look at Buffalo's offensive coordinator. He didn't get the job because his team did so well. But that's not the same. The last 2 years, he's been highly sought of. Like, players come out and talk about him. Travis Kelce talks about him all the time.
Buffalo wasn't that good offensively last year.
They weren't. All they're looking at is how Josh Allen progressed.
Right.
but sometimes you get better in the NFL because things slow down.
Yes,
So
but Eric Bieniemy for 3 years they have been the best offense for 3 years, and he has
3 years, and he's always been involved in the scheming of the plays. So then, and also I was like looking at a commercial recently, the Coors Light commercial, when they talk about Tom Flores not being in the Hall of Fame, and so I didn't know who he was. So he's the first Hispanic quarterback, first Hispanic head coach,
mm-hmm.
and he won 2 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he's not in the Hall of Fame. He won 2 Super Bowls as he won the Super Bowl as an assistant coach and as a head coach, and he's not in the Hall of Fame as being the first Hispanic.
And I think that's what Shaw was talking about, because there's not enough of us in these positions that, you know, this is why this shit is still happening. This is why we're coming in our careers later in life and seeing our white counterparts who don't have the experience, don't have the degrees we have, get higher than us. They're our bosses, for lack of a better word. But I wanted to ask you guys, and EJ, I'm gonna let you start. How do Black people view jobs differently than white folks? I always think this is interesting because this goes into the fact that they don't understand our culture. They don't understand who we are. They don't feel comfortable around us. But I think us Black people, we view jobs also differently than white people. Do y'all see a difference? EJ, I'm gonna let you start. And if you do, what is that?
So for Black people, I think that a job is just a job, right? It's not like a stepping stool. Like you start somewhere and then we usually get complacent because it's comfortable for us and we don't really look for the opportunities and I'm talking about from my parent, like when I look at my parents' perspective, they don't really necessarily look for the opportunities to kind of like move up. Like they feel good and comfortable in that position. And because they're comfortable, they feel like that's it. That's right. The end of it. They don't necessarily see that there's a ceiling that they can go up higher than where they are. So a lot of times the job is the job and not a career. It's not like it's more of like a position. It's not like an upward mobility type of situation. I think that's where we kind of need to get to, is that, yeah, okay, you may start here, but then what's your end goal? Your end goal can't be to work for someone. It needs to be to own. It needs to be an executive of that, right? You learn all the stuff that you need to as a worker, but that needs to be translated to something else that's higher, and don't just settle for being complacent there. I think that's kind of where we struggle. And then again, with the lack of opportunity and lack of resources to get to where we actually could be, because there's a lot of people that are just regular workers out there that have amazing talent and should probably be somewhere else, but they don't have that drive, they don't have that education, don't have those resources or networks to be able to move upwardly.
Absolutely. What about you, Shar?
I agree with Edward as far as it's the difference in generations, whereas our parents are looking to be with those like 30 plus years and retire from a particular company. Whereas us, we don't look at it that way. We're looking at an opportunity to advance, an opportunity to move up, opportunity to venture off and do our own thing. And actually, it's more like we look at our job as an opportunity to kind of hone our skills, how we can get to become more of a complete package in order to transition to something else. I think that's kind of how I look at it. I'm not sure if most Black folks look at it as just a job. I guess for me, I'm just looking at it as just kind of put it all together in order for me to move on to something bigger and better.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. But what about you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Edward. Like, the older generation, they look at it as they're going to be there for a long time. They want disability and all that stuff. Like, but other counterparts, they do it as a stepping stone. Like, hey, I'm gonna learn what I can learn here. Then when I have enough experience, I'm gonna take it someplace else. And until I get to where I'm in like upper management, and then I can decide that I want to be here for however long, because I'm making high figures now.
Right.
For us, it was just like, you know what, we're gonna stay here, try to move up in this company, and try to do what we need to do. And that's just something that the mentality has changed, and it should change.
Yeah, and I think it's more of a, what you guys saying is more I got to get mine kind of thing. Like usually what jobs, especially corporate America, wants you to do is they want you to bust their backs for them. Us black people like, nah, we're gonna try to use you as our advantage as well. We're gonna try to make this as mutually as possible. Yeah, we're gonna get paid, but we're gonna take our advantage as well in this learning and kind of moving on. What I've learned from being in corporate America, to me, is white people see their job as it's part of who they are. Like that's a piece of who they are. For us, it's just like this is what I do to make money to do other shit. Like so, like if like when I used to work at Chili's, if I came into Chili's one day and it just burned to the ground, all I do is just go back home. Like I don't really like I'm not invested in Chili's success like that. And I think that's how most of our thinking is. And I think because of our thinking, white people don't understand us. Like, you know, when they have like the corporate meetings and all these little get-togethers with the birthday, we're not that enthusiastic in those meetings because we're only here because it would look bad if we're not. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not here to really entertain you niggas. We're not here to like hang out and do this. We're here because it looks good for me to be here, not because I actually want to be here. And that leads me into my next question. Shar, I'll let you start with it. Is it difficult for Black people to navigate the corporate America world?
I actually agree with that. Yes, it's real difficult for multiple reasons. It's just like you say, they don't understand us, and it's easy. It's something. If we do something wrong, it sticks with us, regardless of how much we do to try to correct whatever issue is. And there's always a bigger critique of us in terms of what our white counterparts, if they have something that they're lacking, they look at it, well, it's an opportunity to develop them. They can grow and learn in the next level. Whereas with us, if that's something that we lack, it just means that we're not prepared. And I think that's the difference sometimes being in corporate America, that we have to be so perfect, but we have to that we can't give you a reason not to hire us.
Right.
And that mentality just had to change, because you miss out on so many talented people only because you're trying to find out a reason to not hire them, instead of just saying, okay, although you lack this, I can groom you to learn how to do this better. And I think that's a big difference.
That's not even in the hiring process. It's even when you get the job, because like sometimes, like when opportunities come, like I had some like, hey, we want you to teach this class. And I accepted it, even though I didn't want to do it. I accepted it because if I don't accept it, how is it going to look like that I turn this down? Mm-hmm. So when they do promotions come up, or when they try to move people up, they're going to say, well, let's not do Daryl because we tried to let him do this and he said no. But I don't think white people have that mentality in. Like, we're almost like, I feel like I'm forced to do stuff just because I don't want to give you a reason to tell me no later on. Mm-hmm. What about you, Raw?
I really haven't been in corporate America, so I can't really relate in that type of way.
But is there a disparity, like, as far as like in the police world? Since I mean, I guess Atlanta's a little different, right?
Yeah, Atlanta's a little different because the department's so Black. So
yeah, that would be the difference, because my company is so white.
But
yeah, so what they normally do with disparity is like they try to, what I was saying, they try to have as many Black chiefs as you have white chiefs, Black majors as you have majors, and so forth and so forth. The only thing that is different is like lieutenants and sergeants, because you got to test for those positions. So like the appointed positions, they try to keep it even.
Okay.
Also, I want to add another element to this, because
wait, one question follow up for him, because the police world is different than our corporate America, our corporate world. So, do you find it harder to move up? As a Black person, do you think it's harder for you? Are there more obstacles? Do you look at you differently than you see for white people? Is it easier opportunity or more opportunity for them to move up? I think that's what we're trying to.
So to move from so if I'm moving from an officer to like an investigator or a sergeant or a lieutenant, you got to test for those. So we're now, well, a couple of years ago, before they start doing the ranking system, it was more of who you know. And so you gotta, you know, finesse a couple people sometimes to move up. But being in a department is so black, it's like there's always somebody that you know that's going to be in a high position that's going to be black, and it'd be like, you talk to them, you're able to get where you want to go sometimes. So now, when it comes to the appointed positions, where it's like, you become a captain, major, and all that stuff, they try to keep it even. So it's a little different. I mean, you got times where you can have people that aren't. A couple of years ago, I'll say people that aren't as qualified as you get in certain positions because they're on the list, and people get to pick who's on the list. But other than that, it's just it's even for right now. And that's the only thing. That's only my experience. I can't talk about other departments.
Right.
I don't want to talk about here.
Right. And Shar, you were saying something?
Because you said something that made me trigger. Because when we as Black people get into these positions, we have to figure out how to bring each other up. And I think, to your point, you said like sometimes you'll see somebody that you'll know because of how the system is set up. You know somebody who knows somebody that'll give you the opportunity to try to move up. I know, surprisingly, my worst boss was a Black man, and Rawdon can attest to that because he saw the interaction, huh?
I hated that guy.
Yeah, he saw the interaction with me between him and I. I was working hard. I was working, you know what I'm saying? And I was giving him as much as I can give him my all, and it still wasn't enough. And it was in a
That
position
whole
where,
trip down to New Orleans.
huh? Yeah, and it was a position where he was in a position where you would think that I don't have a problem working hard for you if that means that you're going to look out for me. But in the end, he didn't. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on kind of how you. So when we do get in the position of people of color get into these positions, we do have to make it a responsibility to try to see if we can pull others up with us as well. You know, so
right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. What about you, EJ?
For my current job, I probably have more experience than almost everyone, including the business director and the associate director, as far as the process that we're doing at that job. So for me, and I interviewed for several positions, and I wasn't chosen. And people that had less experience than me, people that I was actually mentoring in a role that we both were in at the same time, they were chosen, above me. And the crazy thing about this site in Atlanta is that it's primarily Black. So your supervisors, your business director, they're all Black. There's not one white supervisor, and there's not the business director is also Black. So for me, it's where I'm at. It's more of like a click type of situation. But then they are like, oh well, we're gonna put you in like. As soon as I got out, it's like, okay, we're putting you in training to help with the training class. Okay, so I went in that training class and I applied for a supervisor position, which is pretty much the same thing I was doing in the training class, right? Instead of short term, it's long term. Oh no, you don't have enough experience coaching people. Well, that's what I did in this training class, and that's what I did 8 years ago for this company. So I don't understand what your point is. Okay, cool, whatever. So then another training class, and now I'm in another training class, and I applied for another position and still didn't get that. So it's kind of like, for me at this point, this job is kind of frustrating. So all I'm doing, and like you, like if they give me projects to be on, I'm gonna be on the projects. If they give me, they ask me for other opportunities, all I'm doing, doing right now is just building my Rolodex of like skills, because I know that number one, like I should be way higher than where I'm at right now. So I'm just using all of this as an opportunity to just build my skills, hone in on, what's the name? But when that opportunity comes to move and jump ship, they're gonna be out of luck. I'm gonna be gone.
So then my next question for you guys is, how do our white counterparts, how do they have, because a lot of them don't believe in white privilege. They don't. They believe the fake notion of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which is, I tell everybody, which is a lie, because nobody pulls themselves up by the bootstraps. Everybody needs help. But how do they have the advantage in corporate America? So EJ, we'll go ahead. How do white people have the advantage in corporate America?
Well, corporate America is predominantly a white, white, I guess I would say owned. I don't know. I want to say owned, managed.
They're just there.
Like it's very whitewashed in the upper echelon of the industry, right? So most of your executives are going to be white. Most of your managers and even supervisors, depending on where you are. Now you have pockets of different places that are primarily Black. So then, of course, the staff kind of reflects that area, like Atlanta or like Dallas or Houston or places like Chicago, things like that. You kind of see different, but when you talk about, like, if I talk about my company, yeah, locally it's Black, but when I look up the ladder to the exec, the VP, the CEO, the CFOs, all those, literally every single person in that chain is absolutely white. So I think that it's easier because, the opportunity to encounter someone else in a elevated position is, the chances are greater, right? And then, of course, a lot of people will try to hire who they feel, as Shamort was saying as well, who they feel comfortable with. So it's like, I think it's easier. I think that across the board in the United States, they don't have to be as good. They can be mediocre or even subpar.